of touched on this one, but perhaps it can be expanded on. So as with the previous world wars, for example, you mentioned the Second World War, could Africa be drawn into this war as well? If so, like, how is Africa likely to be drawn in? And how might African countries end up participating? Yes, you talked about still our resources are being used. And but if our territory, something beyond the resources, how can Africa end up being dragged in?
So, as I said earlier, Egypt has, assuming that report I read is true, Egypt has already been dragged in, has already allowed itself to be dragged in. And then your likes of Djibouti, by default, one way or the other, are part of it, but not on any side. They are kind of the service both sides. And then the likes of Kenya, by putting out the statement that he put out, bear in mind that Kenya hosts both US and UK military bases. And now that the Western military bases in the Gulf region have been obliterated to all intents and purposes, who is to say that if this conflict were to continue, bear in mind the US has now said that instead of the initial few days, it said that this war is now going to last till past September, which in my opinion means that it's going to last for two or 3 years at least, right? So given that is going to happen and they intend to keep on attacking Iran, where are they going to stage their next set of attacks from? Who's to say that they're not going to decide to use Kenya as a staging point? And if they were to do that, and if Kenya were to become a staging point for airstrikes against Iran, then Kenya has become a legitimate target for Iran. Right? So to all intents and purposes, Africa would have been fully dragged in. We're also seeing, I don't know if you saw this headline a few days ago, where this was some EU think tank person was making a statement to the effect that the EU at this point in time should be recruiting immigrants to join European militaries. And like it should basically it should dangle citizenship as a carrot in front of them. And get them to join the military. So there's every possibility that if they go ahead with this, their supposed ground invasion, you and I know a ground invasion of Iran would be a terrible idea, right? Whoever attempts a ground invasion of Iran is going to die. But they seem to be very firmly committed to the idea of a ground invasion. Who are they going to send there? They're not going to send their own, American sons and daughters whose bodies will come back draped with the US flag, and then the optics are going to be disastrous for them. They're not going to do that because that will be politically ruinous for them. So they're going to use proxies, right? We've already seen one of the proxies. They've attempted to mobilize the Kurds as a proxy force, and the Kurds have put out an official statement saying we will no longer be used as a proxies, leave us alone. So what would be the next possible set of proxies that they could use to go and be the cannon for that? I believe they're going to start recruiting Africans and sending them into the meat grinder and dangling US citizenship as a carrot in front of them. I believe they are going to start doing that at some point. So Africa, in some way, shape, or form, is going to get dragged in. I think that's just the unfortunate reality. So these are the conversations that we need to start having now. These are the sensitizations that we need to start having now, such that by the time they come up with these brilliant ideas, we would have already seen it coming, and we would have already, we can't save everybody, but even if it's a few people that we can sensitize that this is what these people are going to do, they're going to dangle this carrot in front of you. They're going to make you believe that if you do this thing for them, you're going to become a US citizen, you're going to have this great American dream. But that, look, first of all, you're not going to live long enough to get that citizenship or that passport or whatever. And even if you do survive it, they will never keep their promises. to you.
But I would love, David, to ask you just, I'm going to pause here. Don't you think that we have become, I'm sorry to use this word, we have become stupid enough to think that I don't care if I die, if it gets me some money to my family back home. Aren't we that desperate, stupid people right now already? I'm
Well,
sorry.
Unfortunately, if I were to say that no, we're not that stupid, I'll be lying. Because there's so much evidence to show that a large number of us actually are that uninformed, that foolish. So for how many years or decades have you heard, for example, that Africans who go to work in the Gulf are gambling with their lives? For how many years have you been hearing this?
And you still
So many years. I've been hearing this since I was a child.
exactly.
That if you go to the Arab Gulf, anywhere in the Arab Gulf, that they have this work system called the kafala system, where they take your passport away and you essentially become the possessions of whoever brought you there, and you might never make it out of there alive, and they may or may not even pay you. We've been hearing these stories for so long, and yet as we have this conversation right now, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of Africans who are currently in the middle of a war in that same Gulf region, who are still having conversations with these so-called visa agents to try to get them a job in Bahrain or in Oman or in Saudi Arabia or in Kuwait or in the UAE.
That's a reality.
So unfortunately, and then you then ask yourself the question that if you are willing to go into a literal war where you might die, the place you are coming from, which often is more peaceful than where you are going to, what is so terrible about the place that you're coming from that makes you so convinced that everything good in your life lies in this place that you want to go to? All your hopes and dreams will come true when you go to this literal war zone, but your hopes and dreams can never come true in the place that you're coming from. Who put that idea into your head?
Yeah.
Because this is something that I've been, Nigeria is like the most notorious country in terms of immigration on the entire African continent, right? Nigerians are obsessed with the idea of running away and leaving Nigeria, right? And I say this as someone who doesn't live in Nigeria. I live in Ghana, but I don't live in Ghana by choice. I'm in exile.
Yeah.
Right? It was exile that brought me here. I had absolutely no plan of leaving Nigeria. Like, I don't think it's normal that a country should exist where.
Hi, my name is David, and today I'll be showing you how Nigeria
Who is born in that country dreams of living somewhere else. Nigeria is like the most notorious country in terms of immigration on the entire African continent, right? Nigerians are obsessed with the idea of running away and leaving Nigeria, right? And I say this as someone who doesn't live in Nigeria. I live in Ghana, but I don't live in Ghana by choice. I'm in exile.
Yeah.
Right? It was exile that brought me here. I had absolutely no plan of leaving Nigeria. Like, I don't think it's normal that a country should exist where everybody who is born in that country dreams of living somewhere else. It's not like there's a war going on or something, but it's just you are so like delusionally obsessed with this idea that your star, your hopes and dreams will come true in a place you've never been to before and you know very little about. But somehow where you are, you should spend no time and effort whatsoever to try and improve where you are. All the effort that you use in trying to emigrate, you should never use that effort to try to better where you are. I always found that to be a very weird idea, which is why I never really had any, even when all my friends were leaving and stuff, I never left until I had to leave in 2020 when I was driven into exile by the government, right? And that's how come I still live in exile, right? If tomorrow a revolutionary government were to take power in Abuja, I will be on the next plane back. Because at the end of the day, whose job is it to build my country? Whose job is it? It's mine. Who else is going to do it, right? But as I've been trying to tell people over the past couple of years, there is a huge propaganda campaign ongoing. This has been going on for decades, but there's a huge propaganda campaign ongoing on the continent of Africa. Someone is spending a lot of money to convince young African men and women that there is some pot of gold somewhere out there, that they can have everything they're looking for in life everywhere in the world except Africa. Someone has spent a lot of money putting that idea into our heads, right? Because the continent of Africa is the continent that everybody else in the world is trying to get into. Everybody else in the world sees what we have here. Everybody else sees the resources, sees the potential. Everybody else in the world is trying to buy up land in Africa. You are seeing the Israelis trying to buy up entire tracts of the continent. Everybody else is trying to physically colonize this place for themselves. And then we, the actual natives who come from here, who actually own this place, all we are thinking about is how to get a visa and escape and run away and become a permanent resident or a citizen, a paper citizen, because, becoming a citizen in someone else's country, it doesn't mean that you are the same, that you are the same as the people who originate from there. That passport they give you can be revoked. That citizenship can be revoked. We saw that with Shamima Begum, the British girl who joined ISIS. She was born in Bethnal Green. She was born in London. She had never been outside of the UK before until she joined ISIS, right? Born in the UK, raised in the UK, has no other citizenship apart from UK citizenship. And the UK government stripped her of her UK citizenship and said that she has grandparents who come from Bangladesh. So she's entitled to Bangladeshi citizenship. Even when Bangladesh refused to give her a passport, the UK government said that's none of our business. And they left her stateless. That's the reality of the citizenship that you will get in someone else's country. But for some reason, our people don't know this. Someone is out there drumming the message constantly into our people's heads that somehow this place that you don't know anything about, you've never been there, you don't know what it's like to live there, you don't know what the people are like, you don't know what the culture is like, you don't even know what the food or the weather is like, you know nothing about the place, but somehow you are absolutely convinced. And once you go to this place out there, be it Europe, be it Canada, be it the Arab Gulf, wherever it is, somehow all your dreams are going to come true. And that you should be willing to go as far as trekking across the Sahara Desert to try to get to that place where your dreams will come true. But the amount of doggedness and effort that it takes to trek across the largest deserts in the world, you shouldn't put that effort into trying to build a better life for yourself where you are. There's a huge propaganda campaign going on because it's not logical. If you think about it, it's not logical. Why should Africans be so obsessed with trying to get away from Africa?
It's just crazy. It's not that the fact that only the destination is, as we speak, in war and still people are willing to go, but also now, as you have just touched it, even the way to go there is a hell. And still you have siblings who really have become a victim or murdered by ISIS or whatever group in Libya, and you have a next sibling preparing to go there.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's just such things sometimes make me pause and make me hopeless, really. Like, okay, yeah, it's crazy.
It's not normal. It's not normal. So the only way to explain it is someone is investing a lot of money to make people believe certain things.
But also it reminds me what, I don't know if she expanded on it, Her Excellency Dr. Arikana Chombori, when she, that interview that made her famous, that interview that made her also to be fired from the African Union with VOA, was this VOA or Reuters, where she said everything white and these European countries, we have learned for just glittery. Everything white is heaven, rich, everything. thing you want to give it. Okay, education is one thing, but it's beyond education. Religion is one aspect, everything white. Who says that black is devil? And I mean, even that fact, it kills me. And white is always angelic. Yeah, it's whew. Now let's take the other side of the coin into this. Okay, even if Africa wants positioning itself, can it? And yeah, we said as we speak, just to bring our audience back, from where we started. As we speak, there are people who are preparing. They might start hiring people. But if there is any opportunity to be drawn in this participation of the continent into this,